Guys, make some noise for Layne Norton. Let's go.
Listen.
So we're going to take, we've got 5 minutes, so we're going to take a couple questions. So if you have a question for Dr. Norton, stand up. We're only going to take 2. So we got one. Got one right there.
Oh.
Okay, you pass the mic back.
An Aussie with a voice.
Can we pass the mic back, too? Thank you.
Hey, I got a voice, mate.
Well, you should have been born in America.
Layne, obviously you agree that's
The mic's not on.
Can we turn the mic on? Yeah.
It's not on.
Oh, yeah, just go for it. Just go for it.
Obviously you would agree that science helps advance the fitness industry, but would you agree that it also helps hold it back?
So I think it depends. Oh, good one. So I think, yes, in the fact that, you do have people who will like new ideas or techniques, they'll poo-poo them because, oh, well, there's not a direct study that backs this up. So in that case, it's fine to suggest things to people that aren't backed up by research, but just be honest about it. Say, you know what, there's no data backing this up, but I've just found with my clients that they prefer this, or I've seen results from this, but maybe it's better, maybe it's not, maybe it's placebo, but we have observed this. I think it's all about how you frame it, right? But there are like abstract, sorry, I'm getting feedback. There are abstract warriors out there who it's like, well, there's no PubMed citation that, taking a shit is good for you, so therefore, you don't need to take shits, So yeah, like in that aspect, it can hold things back. I think for the most part, science is a net positive. I think people get frustrated because, like I said, the weight of the scientific consensus moves slow, but it moves slow by design. Because if we just quickly change our opinion every time a new study comes out, I mean, it'd be like playing ping pong. You know what I mean? Like, y'all just be going like this. Watching. And so you saw a little bit of this over COVID, right? Unfortunately, typically, and I feel like I have a very nuanced take about this, which is very emotionally charged because everybody has an opinion about COVID. The problem with COVID and why it was so detrimental to scientific integrity and people's trust in science is because you were seeing the scientific method, which is messy and takes time, play out in a short period of time. We were trying to build the boat while we were trying to sail the boat, okay? Typically, in 20 years, we'll have enough data, we can look back and go, okay, that would have been the right move or that would have been the right move. But unfortunately, when you're making policy, you can't do that, right? So I have a little bit more nuanced take of, than the evil government conspiracies, although I do think some of that could have been going on. But I think for the most part, people tried to do the best they had with the information they had. Unfortunately, we just saw the messy scientific process play out in a very short period of time, right? So that's why the scientific consensus should move slow to avoid that exact thing where you feel like you're getting ping-ponged back and forth, right? But it can be frustrating if you have new ideas and feel like you're being held back because there's not the citations out there. So, yes and no.
Cool. We'll take one more. Stand up if you have a question. Oh, wow, that was fast. Touche. So say your question, then I'm going to repeat it for the virtual.
Okay, so amazing. At one of your speeches last week at the Fitness Expo, someone asked, I think it was along the lines of what would be good to study, and I believe your answer was less about nutrition and more about psychology. And I guess listening to that was really, really interesting as well. And at first I wasn't entirely sure why, but I don't know, is there anything specific in relation to that? Like, I'm sure there's a little bit more to say.
So I remember
what should you study?
Yeah, so I remember the question. So the question at the expo was, if you were going to go back to school, what would you choose to study? And when I was a young biochemist, I was very interested in all these mechanisms, muscle protein synthesis, and it's very sexy. And what I found, it's funny, you learn so much just from working with people, and you learn that human beings aren't robots. I'm actually a robot. Like my best friend Mike says, I have never seen somebody who can have certain habits and behaviors, and if something's just explained to them and makes sense, they literally fucking change in 1 second. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how my brain works. I'm just like, okay, that makes sense. I guess we're doing that now. Doesn't matter, we've done this 40 years. We're doing this shit now because it makes sense. Most people aren't like me. They're not robots. And so you have to learn how to coach behaviors and habits. And what I learned was like, you can have the best blueprinted plan, and if you can't integrate it into a person's lifestyle, if you can't make it make sense, coaching is way less about X's and O's and way more about being able to reach and connect with people. It's way more about that, which is one of the reasons I also say when people ask me, our coaching manager and COO, Samantha Katz, is here. When people ask us, hey, what do you look for in coaches? Like, what classes can I take? Sure, we like people that are educated. You know what we care way more about? Being a good fucking human being, okay? I've been around really smart people who their integrity could not match up to their knowledge, okay? Because here's the thing. I can teach you all the X's and O's. We can teach you all the X's and O's. It's hard to teach character. You know what I mean? So anyway, getting back to your question, I have found that the biggest limiter for people in achieving any goal is just their ability to be consistent and adhere to the process and trust the process. So I'm fascinated by the science of adherence and how to improve that. Unfortunately, that's not sexy, right? It's like, oh, well, they just got to do it. Well, hello, ding dong. Obviously, it's hard for people to do because otherwise everybody would be shredded billionaires, right? Like, trusting the process and investing in the process and buying in is the hardest part of the entire thing. You didn't fail. People don't fail to lose weight because they didn't have the right carbohydrate to fat breakdown or their meal timing was off. They fail because they just stopped fucking executing. That's not a judgment. That's just a fact. Okay? So how can we remove these barriers to help them execute better? Okay? That's your job as a coach. And it's not always about, is it low carb, low fat? It's about, how do I get you to buy in? How do I get you on board to trust this process and be consistent? Like I said, I really think I've had success in this industry, not because I'm the smartest person, I'm not the funniest person, but I am pretty adorable. Thank you, bro. Not because I'm the strongest, not because I'm the best looking, not because I have the most talent, but because I have brutal, soul-sucking, bone-crushing consistency for 20 years. So I probably underachieved based on that, to be quite honest. But how do we get more people to do that? Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoy it.